Ladies and gentlemen, forgiveness is one of the most profound and transformative acts a person can engage in, and it is always unconditional by its very nature. When we say forgiveness is unconditional, we mean that it is a choice you make for yourself, independent of the actions, apologies, or changes of the other person. It is an internal process of releasing the grip that anger, resentment, and bitterness have over your heart and mind. Forgiveness is not something that depends on external validation or reciprocation. It is a gift you give to yourself, a path toward healing and freedom. Many people misunderstand forgiveness and believe that they must wait for the offender to apologize or show remorse before they can forgive. This misconception can trap people in prolonged suffering, holding on to pain while waiting for something that may never come. The truth is, forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your peace and choosing not to let past wrongs dictate your present and future. When forgiveness is unconditional, it means you do not tie your healing to conditions you cannot control. You step into your own power and say, "I will heal regardless of whether you change, apologize, or even acknowledge the harm done." Unconditional forgiveness begins with a deep recognition of your own humanity and the imperfection inherent in all people. We all make mistakes, hurt others, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, and cause pain. To forgive unconditionally is to accept that imperfection is part of the human experience. It does not mean you condone the hurtful behavior or deny its impact. Rather, it means you acknowledge that holding on to anger and resentment only prolongs your suffering. By releasing these heavy emotions, you free yourself to live fully and joyfully. One of the most liberating aspects of unconditional forgiveness is that it does not require reconciliation or restoration of the relationship. Forgiveness is an internal healing process that can occur even when the relationship ends or remains broken. You can forgive a person who has hurt you deeply and still choose to protect yourself by keeping boundaries or ending contact. This separation of forgiveness from reconciliation is critical because it allows you to heal without exposing yourself to further harm or compromise. The process of unconditional forgiveness often involves several steps. It starts with acknowledging the pain honestly, naming the hurt, the betrayal, or the loss. Suppressing or denying these feelings only prolongs the healing journey. Once you bring your pain into the light, you can begin to process your emotions. This may involve experiencing grief, anger, sadness, or confusion. These feelings are natural and necessary. They are part of the path toward release. As you engage with these emotions, you begin to understand their roots and their impact on your life. You may recognize how holding on to resentment affects your mental, emotional, and physical health. This awareness becomes a powerful motivator for forgiveness. You start to see forgiveness not as a favor to the offender, but as an act of self-care and self-liberation. Unconditional forgiveness also invites you to cultivate compassion for others and for yourself. Compassion allows you to see beyond the hurt and recognize the complex factors that contribute to human behavior. People hurt others often because of their own pain, fear, or brokenness. This perspective does not excuse harmful actions, but it softens the edges of anger and makes forgiveness possible. Self-compassion is equally important in this process. Often, we carry guilt or shame about the ways we might have contributed to conflicts or misunderstandings. Forgiving yourself unconditionally means accepting your imperfections and treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. This self-acceptance strengthens your emotional resilience and supports healthier relationships moving forward. Unconditional forgiveness also shifts your mindset from victimhood to empowerment. When you forgive without conditions, you reclaim control over your emotional life. You no longer allow past harms to dictate your present moods or future outlook. This empowerment fosters peace, joy, and freedom, enabling you to focus on growth and positive experiences rather than pain and loss. This mindset shift has profound effects on your physical health as well. Research has shown that forgiveness reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and strengthens the immune system. By releasing grudges and bitterness, you lighten your emotional load, which translates into better overall health and well-being. This connection between forgiveness and health underscores why unconditional forgiveness is a vital practice for holistic healing. The spiritual dimension of unconditional forgiveness is also significant. Many spiritual traditions emphasize forgiveness as a path to inner peace and enlightenment. Forgiving unconditionally aligns you with principles of love, mercy, and grace. It helps dissolve barriers between yourself and others, fostering a sense of unity and connection. This spiritual growth enriches your life beyond the immediate circumstances of hurt and conflict. Another crucial element of unconditional forgiveness is its relationship with time. Forgiveness is often a gradual process rather than a single event. You may find that feelings of resentment or pain resurface at times, requiring renewed commitment to forgiveness. This ongoing practice deepens your healing and strengthens your ability to respond to life's challenges with grace and resilience. It is also important to recognize that unconditional forgiveness does not mean tolerating ongoing harm or abuse. Forgiving someone does not obligate you to stay in a harmful relationship or to lower your boundaries. True forgiveness empowers you to protect yourself while releasing emotional burdens. It creates the clarity and strength needed to make wise decisions about your relationships and well-being. In relationships, practicing unconditional forgiveness can transform dynamics and open pathways for healing. When you forgive without conditions, you model emotional maturity and strength. This example can inspire others to embark on their own forgiveness journeys, fostering healthier, more compassionate connections. Even if reconciliation does not occur, unconditional forgiveness breaks cycles of resentment and bitterness, creating space for peace and understanding. The decision to forgive unconditionally is a deeply personal one, and it often requires support and guidance. Many find help through counseling, spiritual communities, support groups, or trusted mentors. Engaging with others who have walked the path of forgiveness can provide encouragement and insight. This shared journey reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles and that healing is possible. Moreover, unconditional forgiveness nurtures hope. It encourages you to believe in the possibility of renewal and transformation, not only in others but within yourself. This hope fuels resilience, giving you the strength to face life's difficulties with courage and optimism. It anchors you in the present moment while opening your heart to the future. In embracing unconditional forgiveness, you also honor your own dignity and worth. You refuse to be defined or limited by pain inflicted by others. Instead, you claim your right to peace, happiness, and growth. This powerful stance shifts your identity from that of a victim to a survivor, a healer, and a creator of your own destiny. Finally, unconditional forgiveness invites you to live authentically and fully. It releases you from the chains of the past and allows you to engage with life's joys, challenges, and relationships with an open heart. This freedom enriches every aspect of your existence, empowering you to cultivate love, kindness, and compassion in the world around you. Forgiveness, in its purest form, is always unconditional, a choice made in the depths of your being to let go and heal. It is the foundation of true freedom, inner peace, and spiritual growth. By embracing this truth, you open the door to a life unburdened by resentment and rich with possibility. Reconciliation is a process that often follows forgiveness, but unlike forgiveness, reconciliation is sometimes conditional. It requires more than just an internal decision to let go of resentment. It involves rebuilding trust, establishing safety, and honoring boundaries. Recognizing that reconciliation is conditional is essential for protecting your well-being and fostering authentic, healthy relationships. When we talk about reconciliation, we are referring to the restoration of a broken relationship, a coming together again after conflict, betrayal, or hurt. This process is complex and delicate because it depends on the willingness and capacity of all parties involved to engage in honest communication, mutual respect, and change. Without these conditions, reconciliation risks being superficial, unstable, or even harmful. One of the fundamental conditions for reconciliation is trust. Trust is the foundation upon which any relationship is built, and when that trust is broken, it must be rebuilt carefully and intentionally. Rebuilding trust is not about quickly forgetting past wrongs or pretending they never happened. It is about consistent, reliable behavior over time that demonstrates commitment to change. This process requires patience and vulnerability from all parties, as well as clear communication about expectations and boundaries. Trust can only be restored when there is transparency and accountability. The person who caused harm must acknowledge their actions, take responsibility, and show genuine remorse. This openness creates a space where healing can begin and allows the injured party to feel safe in expressing their feelings and needs. Without accountability, reconciliation is built on shaky ground, vulnerable to further breaches and disappointment. Another critical condition for reconciliation is respect. Respect means honoring each other's feelings, experiences, and boundaries. It involves listening deeply without judgment and valuing the other person's perspective, even when it differs from your own. Respect fosters empathy and understanding, which are essential for resolving conflicts and moving forward together. When respect is lacking, reconciliation efforts often falter because underlying resentments and misunderstandings remain unresolved. Safety is also a vital condition for reconciliation. Emotional, physical, and psychological safety must be established to create an environment where vulnerability and honesty can flourish. If a relationship involves abuse, manipulation, or ongoing harm, reconciliation may not be appropriate or healthy. Protecting your well-being is paramount, and reconciliation should never come at the cost of your safety or dignity. Sometimes, the healthiest choice is to forgive internally while maintaining distance or ending the relationship. Boundaries play a crucial role in reconciliation. Setting clear, healthy boundaries helps prevent repeated harm and supports the rebuilding of trust. Boundaries communicate your needs and limits and provide a framework for respectful interaction. They are not barriers to love or connection, but tools that enable relationships to grow in a safe and sustainable way. Respecting boundaries is a sign of maturity and commitment to the reconciliation process. Effective communication is another cornerstone of successful reconciliation. Honest, open dialogue allows both parties to express their feelings, concerns, and hopes. It helps clear up misunderstandings and facilitates problem solving. Communication during reconciliation should be guided by empathy, active listening, and a willingness to see the situation from the other person's point of view. When communication breaks down or becomes hostile, reconciliation becomes much more difficult to achieve. Reconciliation also requires time. Healing deep wounds and rebuilding relationships cannot be rushed. The pace of reconciliation depends on the nature of the hurt, the willingness of the parties involved, and the circumstances surrounding the conflict. Patience is essential, both with yourself and others, as you navigate this journey. Expecting immediate resolution can lead to frustration and setbacks. In addition to these interpersonal conditions, reconciliation involves a shift in mindset. It requires moving from a stance of blame and judgment to one of compassion and understanding. This shift does not minimize the hurt experienced but reframes it in a way that opens the door to healing. Embracing this mindset helps you let go of grudges while maintaining realistic expectations about the relationship. Sometimes, reconciliation means redefining the relationship rather than returning to how things were before. Relationships evolve, and the process of healing may lead to new dynamics that better support everyone's well-being. This flexibility allows for growth and change, making reconciliation a living, ongoing process rather than a fixed destination. It is important to acknowledge that reconciliation is not always possible or advisable. In some cases, the damage is too great, or one party is unwilling or unable to engage in the necessary work. Accepting this reality can be painful, but it is also a form of self-respect and wisdom. Forgiveness and healing can still occur internally, even if the relationship remains distant or ends. Reconciliation that is conditional also protects individuals from further harm by ensuring that the process happens in a way that respects their needs and boundaries. It empowers people to say no when conditions are not met or when they do not feel safe. This empowerment is crucial for emotional and psychological health. The distinction between unconditional forgiveness and conditional reconciliation allows you to separate your internal healing from your external relationships. You can free yourself from bitterness and resentment without feeling compelled to restore every relationship. This clarity provides peace and protects your energy for the connections that are healthy and supportive. Furthermore, understanding the conditional nature of reconciliation encourages accountability and growth. It sends a message that actions have consequences and that rebuilding trust requires effort and sincerity. This dynamic can motivate positive change and foster deeper, more respectful relationships. In communities and societies, conditional reconciliation plays a vital role in conflict resolution and peace building. Processes such as truth and reconciliation commissions emphasize accountability, acknowledgement of harm, and reparative actions before relationships or societies can heal and move forward. These models reflect the broader principle that genuine reconciliation must meet certain conditions to be authentic and sustainable. Practically, engaging in reconciliation involves setting clear intentions and agreements about the process. This may include guidelines for communication, expectations for behavior, and plans for rebuilding trust. It often requires support from counselors, mediators, or trusted third parties to facilitate healing and dialogue. Throughout the reconciliation process, ongoing self-reflection and self-care are essential. It is important to monitor your emotional responses, recognize signs of harm or discomfort, and seek help when needed. Healing is a journey with ups and downs, and caring for yourself ensures resilience and well-being. Ultimately, Recognizing that reconciliation is sometimes conditional honors the complexity of human relationships and the depth of emotional healing required after hurt. It respects your autonomy and dignity, allowing you to make choices that support your health and happiness. This wisdom empowers you to build relationships grounded in trust, respect, and genuine connection. By embracing this understanding, you equip yourself to navigate conflict and healing with greater clarity and strength. You learn to forgive unconditionally while discerning wisely about when and how to reconcile. This balance protects your heart and nurtures your growth, enabling you to live fully and authentically. In summary, reconciliation is a delicate and profound process that depends on conditions such as trust, respect, safety, and boundaries. Unlike forgiveness, which is always unconditional and internal, reconciliation requires mutual effort and commitment. Recognizing this distinction empowers you to heal deeply, protect yourself, and build authentic relationships that honor your worth and well-being.